A well-known Springbok rugby player tells the story about a son called Oscar. Oscar had matriculated, and like so many young matriculants, he is undecided about his future plans. His parents want him to study further at university, but Oscar would rather have a gap year overseas before committing himself to further study. After arranging his visa, Oscar flies out of South Africa to spend a year in England. He has some money in his pocket, but is still unsure about what he's going to do with his life. And he really doesn't know what is going to come next. After arriving in England, Oscar travels around looking for some kind of employment so that he can get money to survive. He prays for God's help and asks that he will be shown what he needs to do with his life. After days of traveling around, he eventually accepts employment on a farm. The farmer asks Oscar what he intends to do with his life, to which he answers that he does not know. The farmer sets Oscar to work in an open field and instructs him to dig a deep hole on a certain place in the field. Oscar is alone and confused, but he begins to dig the deep hole, and after hours of constant digging, he comes upon the remains of a dog. The dog has lain buried for a long time. After more careful and respectful digging around the remains of the dog, Oscar finds a leash. Attached to the leash is the dog collar. The dog collar is well used and is very old. Oscar realizes that the dog remains have been there for a number of years. At this point, Oscar rests and carefully looks around the hole that he has dug. He is confused by the scene that is set out before him: the dog remains, the leash, and the dog collar. On his knees, he decides to use his hands to carefully dig a little further. It is not long before Oscar discovers a brass name tag with a dog's name on it. He discovers to his amazement that the name on the brass tag is Oscar. You can well imagine his confused state and bewilderment after digging hours and hours in the middle of a field to find the remains of a dog called Oscar. He uses his cell phone to call his father. He tells his father that he has managed to get a job working on a farm. He gives an account of the instruction he was given and how he has spent hours digging a hole to find the remains of a dog called Oscar. He asks his father if he can explain the coincidence of the shared name Oscar and if there's a message God is giving him. Oscar's father answers quite simply that sometimes you have to dig deep to find yourself. In life, we can often be faced with difficult challenges, and it is during these times that we are called to dig deep to find the strength to deal with the matter at hand. By digging deep, we discover the extent of our resilience, our determination, our grit, and our faith.